Monday motivation. Start your week off flying high. Monday motivation. It's your time to rise and shine.
Hey guys, happy Monday. Today we're here. I have again my partner in life, Joshua. We're going to just talk to you about a few things that we believe will help you this Monday. So, Joshua, let's just process together here as a team. I wanted to talk with everyone about how to start it with the end in mind. What do you think this represents?
Well, when you really start with the end in mind, what you're really talking about is goals and visions. And when you have a goal or a vision, something that you can clearly see, you can see the end outcome. Whether that end outcome is, well, I want to get out of debt, or I want to lose weight, or whatever your goal is. If you can see it, if you can write it down, which is a huge thing to do, that's going to help you move forward. Because if you can't start with, here's where I want to go, you're just going to walk around in circles.
That's right. And the thing is, when you do walk around in circles that you're not sure what you want, it just brings you despair. You ended up, can remember that we talk about the crabby mindset, the crabby mindset, that you had that like almost like a revelation of that. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, the lobster mindset.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a book which I recommend, 12 Rules for Life, by Jordan B. Peterson. It's a pretty fascinating book. And in there he talks about lobster brains and how they're wired, and how dominant lobsters have a certain wiring in their brain, whereas the non-dominants have a different, and it's chemically and they can measure it very easily. Well, I think a lot of that is the same for us. When you look at someone who's like a premier athlete, or an actor, or an artist, or anyone, even someone at a 9-to-5 job, or working at a fast food restaurant, we get in these seasons where we feel we have like the Midas touch, where everything we do turns to gold. That's part of this winning mindset. Your brain wires itself to win. And when you have that, you actually win more, because your brain automatically thinks it's going to. Subconsciously, it kicks in and it helps you go further. Conversely, there's also the loser lobster brain. And that is wired to make you lose. These loser type brains, they are wired exactly opposite of the winner brain. And if this happens in lobsters, most likely in some way subconsciously, it probably happens to people too. Now, these are why goals and writing your visions down are so important. Because even a small goal, which I recommend you start with a small goal, like, hey, my goal is going to be to take out the trash today. Write it down. Start there. Start with something small. Because what will happen is when you accomplish these goals, it's a little mini tiny win. And then from those mini tiny wins, you can build up to bigger wins. And as you're doing these, as you're accomplishing these goals, your brain starts to rewire itself. And it starts to convert itself chemically into a winner brain. Now, that's what we all want in life. We all want to be the alpha. We all want to be the best that we can be, which I hope we all want to be that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think if you start with your goals small and work your way up, yeah, it's great to have this big goal out in the world. But if it's something that it's impossible for you to get to, you need to have some small goals that you can accomplish in the here and now, to help yourself, to help your feelings, to help your posture, everything, so you can move toward that big goal confidently.
Right. You were talking about when you worked, for that company. You're talking about that you almost believed that you had a little brain that was installed in you. How did the people change from having the loser lobster brain to have a win lobster brain? How do you change that?
Right. Well, when I was reading that book, that's why I said it's really fascinating, because you don't have to read a whole book to get a bunch of information. You can read the first chapter and get a bunch of information of something that really, really strikes you. And I do believe that I had a loser brain. I had the loser lobster brain and mentality. Things in our life happen. Sometimes they're not good. I was affected quite a bit by a friend dying and other things. And it just seemed to steamroll and domino at a certain point in my life where I thought, man, there's just nothing I can do about this. Until I married someone very awesome, and she helped me get me out of that and helped change my mind. So props to you, Hans.
Oh, thanks. Well, I just, to tell you the truth, I remember seeing you being miserable, and I knew that this is not the life that we wanted to live. This is not what we envisioned. We did not envision to live a life that we were always struggling, that we didn't have any money to buy a burger, or we did not want that life.
Yeah, that we depended on we didn't want to have a life that we depended on other people.
Or being part of the system. Remember we used to talk about the rat trap?
Yeah.
We knew we needed to get out.
Right. And when I had that, part of that is you're kind of groomed into that. When you go to school nowadays, or back then, you're kind of groomed to put yourself into, all right, well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to work. This is the job that you're going to do, and you're going to do this forever. Well, the world doesn't necessarily work that way anymore. And so if you go in with one mentality, like, all right, great, I'm going to conquer the world. And then what happens if you get fired?
Right.
Sometimes people get fired for no real good reason.
Right.
Well, that takes its toll on you in your mind. It takes its toll on you, and I think that's part of the things what happened to me. But how I changed my mind is I started listening to books. Free plug, if you're busy, listening to books is going to help you.
Right.
If you can't, well, I don't have time to read it. Well, okay, there's several apps out there that will read it to you, just like your mom used to do when you went to bed. Before she tucked you in, she would read you a little story.
Right.
They will do that for you. But I listened I listened to as many books as I could, starting with Think and Grow Rich and expanding to other things, but
Yeah.
but listening to books, and not just one time. If I thought that there was something really good, both of us, we would listen together.
Yeah.
We would listen to the thing maybe 3 times.
Oh yeah, and we should do a podcast just doing a review on all the books that helped us. The 10 top books that helped us, because it helped us change our mindset from where we were to actually be able to have a vision of what we want our life to look like, and all of a sudden you realize you're living it,
Right. Slowly but surely, you start to your mind gets out of the programming and the funk of whatever happened, and you start to adopt these mentalities that you're seeing in this book. Now, when we say books, I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, well, I read all the Game of Thrones series or whatever, and those may be good, entertaining books. And I'm not saying don't read entertaining books every once in a while. We're talking about books that are meant to impact you, that are meant to better you.
And to change you the way you think.
Whether it's to change you as a person, or to change your mentality, or to give you some kind of insight on yourself. Fantasy books or whatever you do to just deprogram, that's not the books that we're talking about. Because you can read 1,000,000 of those and still be in the same pit that you were the day before.
Because now, here's the point. A lot of the people that only example of success it's not around them. It's just movies.
Right.
So their family, it's not like that they support or encourage. Their friends are broke the same way as they're broke. What do you always say about the friendships? And we're going to end with this. So what do you want to say about the friendships, the people around us?
Friends are super duper important. And they mean a lot in your life, because they're generally the people that have the most influence on you.
Yeah.
I am a fan of actually, keep all of your friends.
Right.
But sometimes you might have a friend that's toxic to you.
Right.
This might be a boyfriend, this might be a girlfriend, this might be a friend that you've known since childhood, this might be a colleague at work. This person just wants you to go and let's go party, let's do something. It always brings you to a negative space somehow, some way. You should probably get rid of those people.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying throw everybody off to the wayside or anything like that, saying like, well, Monday Motivation Podcast told me that I got to get rid of all my friends. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is you can be friends with almost anyone. You can still be friends with almost anyone. But that doesn't mean you have to hang out with them.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they have to come over to your house and watch the game, or come over to your house and hang out. It doesn't mean that they have to do anything with you. You can still be their friends. You can say hello. You can do, but if you have a toxic friendship, you need to leave.
Yeah.
You need to find some excuse, some way to leave, because all that's going to do is going to keep you down in that loser brain. It's going to keep you down. It's going to force you down. So what you need to do is you need to expand who you associate with.
But people are afraid to expand because other people intimidate them.
Right. But part of this is you have to realize that your friendship, there's, everybody says this, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's true. So if you're hanging around people that are not positively bringing each other up, that are not strengthening you, that don't have something that that you want, it might be time to stay friends, but get other friends and expand. And this is a hard thing for people to do because it's not necessarily natural. Once we have our set friends, a lot of people, have the same friends that they had in high school, which I still have friends that I had in high school, and I still talk to them every once in a while. We live all across the country now, but if they're not going to influence you in a positive way, that's a time to take a breath and step back.
Yeah.
And I suggest that you take a piece of paper out.
Oh, wow. I thought this was going to be another podcast, but we're going to just review the juice secrets.
We're just going to go to the big stuff.
Yeah.
I suggest you just take a piece of paper out and write 10 qualities that you want in every friend.
Yep, we did this together.
We did this together to see, when you move to a different place, you have to make new friends.
Right.
And so, if you move to a new city or whatever, you're going to be forced to.
Right.
So we did this, and these qualities shouldn't be like, oh, well, they're fun to be with or whatever.
No.
Naturally, you want somebody who's fun to be with and that you get along. But the qualities that you should be looking for when you're trying to establish, like, hey, I want new people to hang out in my life. They should be moving in the same direction.
It's starting with the end in mind.
Right. And so you should always be wanting to hang around with other people who are moving in the right direction, other alphas, other people with winner lobster brains. Because that's going to rub off. My winning lobster brain is going to rub off on you if we hang out. Rebecca's winning lobster brain is going to rub off on you if you listen to Monday Motivation. You're going to get some winning lobster brain just by listening and continue. But the same thing that you're looking here for your podcast should be the same things that you're looking for your friends. You want people that they might be in a better place financially than you.
Right.
They might be able to teach you something. They might be in a better place, like, well, they're in a really great place spiritually.
Right.
And I can learn from them there.
Right.
They might be just better in general. They might be okay. What they have right now is the exact goal that I'm working towards. They might be in a better place education-wise. If your goal is, I want to get myself educated, write some things down that are challenging. Write some things down that doesn't mean like, well, we live in the Denver area, so like, they like the Broncos.
Right.
That's not going to be on your list. But things like where they're at spiritually. Where they're at maybe financially. Are they financially stable?
If they're leaders, if they know what they want.
Yeah, if they're leaders, if they have goals and are working towards goals. These are all things that you should consider when you're writing down your top 10 list. And I'm not saying carry that piece of paper around and check it.
No.
But what I'm saying is take that top 10 list, put it on your refrigerator.
Make as a goal.
And every time you meet someone new and get to know them for a little bit, look at, when you get back home, look at your list and say, do they meet the criteria of my list? Do they meet these top 10 things that I want in my life? If not, do they meet most of them? Do they meet 8 out of 10? Well, 8 out of 10 you might be able to make it work.
And also sometimes you're in a position of you mentor them, but the time has to be limited. If that's your position. If every time you are with your friend, it's your time to give away and mentor them and help them, then your time has to be limited.
Right. You can't, sometimes you're going to have friends that aren't in certain areas are going to be a little bit lower in certain places than you are.
Right.
And that's okay. That's great for you to have friends that you can speak life into and help grow.
Because we are all work in process.
Right. And hopefully you will have friends that do the same with you, that mentor you and help you grow. But you do want to make sure that time keeps not to a minimum, but you want to limit that time, because if you're pouring out, no one's going to be able to fill you back up.
Yeah.
And so with that, I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna let the big boss take over.
I think we're good, guys. We talk about studying with the end in mind, and we talk about the lobster mentality, the lobster brain. I think there's a lot to just go through today and have an incredible Monday. Wonderful to have you, husband. I hope you come back soon.
Oh man, it's weird. It's almost like I live here.
I'll see you guys. Happy Monday, guys. Bye now.
Se divertir, tocar na cicatriz e sentir que já não dói.